Were you born with a banjo twang? Well, you might relate to some of these videos. Let's take a look. Yeah, the idea of free-range chickens is great until they come trying to assault you for food.
I want people to stitch this and tell me when they knew they were white trash.
I figured out we were white trash whenever I found out that my dad slept with my aunt the night that I was born. And then not too long after, he started growing weed in our basement, so our house got raided by the SWAT. And not too long after that, he burnt our house down, so my mom and I had to live in a hotel for a little while. He kept doing more sketchy things, so we got kicked out of Alabama. And
you got kicked out of Alabama? Yo, that's a new breed of white trash right there. Let me tell you, if you get kicked out of Alabama, you was not living your life right, because that is just about anything goes. It's kind of like Florida. Just about anything goes, except they don't have as much notoriety as, Florida Man or nothing like that. So
him and my mom split up. My mom took that as an opportunity to get with his son, which is my half-brother, and they ended up getting married.
I can see the reason why you got kicked out of Alabama now. Okay.
I live in a camper right now.
Stitch this and
That poor girl, Lord have mercy. She could write a book and ain't nobody gonna believe it, unfortunately. Also, on the flip side of that, unfortunately, she could have her own reality TV show and people would say it's scripted. That's wow.
to stitch this and tell me when they knew they were white trash.
I mean, I realized it when I started explaining to people that, first of all, my grandma was born in Hogpen Hollow, West Virginia, in a chicken coop.
What? Oh my lord, your grandma was born in a chicken coop. Great granny must not have been able to take she must have been working, it sounds like, and but she just squatted right down and had a younger right there. It's not white trash, that's just, hard working country. And judging by your accent, you is country.
I was 6 and people gave me a funny look and I realized that wasn't normal. And then whenever I got a little bit older and I started talking about my cousins, and see, my cousins were half siblings, but the things is they were also first cousins because my aunt had kids with brothers. And we all lived in different hollers around here in the middle of motherfucking nowhere. And then like my family reunions and like holidays usually end in, hey, y'all want to get drunk in the woodshed? Hey, who brought their guns? So, I mean, then there was the one family reunion when the cops got called because my cousin and his stepdad got in a fight.
Yo, that sounds like a colorful family. That's all I'm gonna say. Your cousins is half brothers and sisters and they first cousins. So, well, I mean, it takes everybody to, make a community and a family and stuff like that, right?
I want people to stitch this and tell me when they knew they were white trash.
It was 3rd grade. A few things happened. First, I was the kid that smelled like cigarettes. Didn't realize that until my friends started telling me that I smelled like restaurants, because back in the day you could smoke inside of restaurants. Number 2, I distinctly remember telling my 3rd grade teacher that my mom made her own cigarettes, and she definitely did not make her own cigarettes. She smoked pot and rolled up blunts with me. It was a common thing in our house.
Well, here's the thing, though. If you can buy the tobacco, you can buy the loose tobacco and the rolling papers. So the teacher might, hopefully the teacher didn't try to call them like, hey, they're smoking pot, because narc teachers, unless the kid's clearly being abused, is uncalled for. But just the fact of she was rolling pot. What? Boy, something tells me they probably thought you was poor when you told them your mama rolled her own cigarettes.
Number 3, one of my mom's boyfriends shattered her car window, and instead of having it fixed, obviously we had no money, so she duct taped a black trash bag over it, and that's how the car stayed for the rest of its life. So
I want people to stitch this.
I've gotten the windows fixed eventually, but I feel you on the black bag and the duct tape because man, that stuff is aggravating as you're riding down the road.
And tell me there when they knew they were white trash.
This is my time to shine. Are you ready? I knew that I was white trash when I started dating my baby daddy. Blech. Anyways, and he was like, I'm going to take you to eat somewhere. And I was like, okay, great, awesome. I love food. Because I was like, big, fat, pregnant. And that's not even the start of white trash, but it fits in, so whatever. Anyways, I was in a hoodie and a t-shirt because it was cold. Like I said, I was big, fat, pregnant. And he was like, pulled up to Olive Garden. And I was like, I can't go into Olive Garden. I'm in a freaking hoodie and jeans. He was like, it's a restaurant. And I was like, no, bro, you have to have like a black tie and like a jacket and I have to wear a dress and I don't wear dresses.
Okay. Okay, I see you there. I know exactly the reason why you're thinking that because you poor you used to eating at McDonald's and Hardee's and Burger King. All of the commercials for Olive Garden show people dressed really, really nicely. And if you're in a hoodie, you're not going to think you're going to fit in at all. Whenever you get in there, you're like, yeah, that's more the motif around here.
Plus, I'm big, fat, pregnant. I can't wear a hoodie into the freaking Olive Garden. And he laughed and I didn't laugh. And I walked in feeling like I was so out of place. And other people were actually in jeans and hoodies and they ate their food. And you didn't.
It probably... I see. I know exactly the reason why she thought that because until you go, that's exactly how you think it is. Everybody's dressed up nice. You think it's a nice upscale restaurant, and it's. I 1000% understand why she thought the way she did.
So I realized that I was white trash when, as a kid, until I was 13, I believe, the only meat that we ate was wild game, and the majority of that wild game.
Squirrel?
Came from phone calls that my grandfather would get about deer that were hit on the road that weren't quite dead yet. So in the middle of the night, sometimes we would go out and look for these injured deer so that we could get them and butcher them and have food to eat. And, it was very normalized where I grew up. But since I have moved around a little bit and gotten more worldly, I realized that that's a pretty white trash thing to do. And then also, just the fact of anywhere that was a sit-down restaurant is considered fancy to my family.
I want people.
You was just poor. That's not white trash. You just poor. I know people that do that aren't even poor. It's not white trash. I mean, it's self-sufficiency.
Able to stitch this and tell me there when they knew they were white trash.
I love Mountain Dew Baja Blast more than a person should. I used to smoke Pall Malls. One time my best friend and I dug up all the change from out the couch and bought a soft pack of Winston's to share.
Oh, honey, you as redneck as hell. You are the epitome of the Jason Aldean song, Hicktown. Smoking on your Pall Malls, spraying on your White Rain. Yeah, something tells me that's normal where you're at. Which, hey, not gonna lie, I grew up in a similar place, so I got you.
My mom had 5 kids, and we all ended up wards of the state.
Ooh.
My brother and I used to pour Pepsi on our Cheerios, so we didn't have to eat the clumpy powdered milk. If you ever try to make government cheese melt, I drove a 98 Datsun pickup truck.
You ever... Yeah, don't do that.
That had a grape juice can as a muffler. One time my grandma cooked a turkey in the dishwasher. I used to have
That's a new one. How do you cook a turkey in the dishwasher? What are the... I need to see the blueprints on this one. Just putting that out there. I need to see the blueprints on that one.
an outside couch. Going out to eat meant we were going to get dinner at the gas station.
I want people to stitch this and tell me when they knew they were white trash.
There was one night when I was, I don't know how old, I forgot. But basically, I was throwing empty spray paint cans into a fire and watching them blow up, as you do on a Friday night. And there was a possum. And then I picked up the possum and petted it like it was a cat. It's probably when I was like, oh yeah. Which I'm surprised I didn't realize it earlier, because my dad was literally a shiner in the 60s and had a still built in his backyard.
You just country. That ain't white trash. You just country. And who doesn't like throwing paint cans into the fire to hear it go and blow shit, blow sticks and stuff out? It's fun. Picking up the possum. So, story for us, or for me and my wife, we was having some troubles financially, so we was staying with the in-laws, and the in-laws have a house. They live in a house that I want to say it's like 50, 60 years old. So there's a few ways that if you're an animal, you can get into the attic. Well, they've got those ceiling tiles. Like, it's not like the drop-down ceiling tiles, but it's the old. It's still drywall. They're still made from drywall, but it's like a ceiling tile. I don't know how to explain it. So it was individual. No grid system. You just individually put the tiles up, and yeah. So there was a possum that got in, and it fell through a ceiling tile and wound up under me and the wife's bed, and I wound up having to take it out the house. So yeah, sitting in the front yard, my wife talking with her cousin, and a possum fell out the tree that was overhead, and her cousin took it and had to relocate it so that way it didn't try getting into our house like the previous one had done. So yeah. Not only that, there's all kinds of little cracks and stuff like that. We live in a rural area, and so there's an old door that's no longer in use, and it's been boarded up. But the problem is old house, so wood, it expands and contracts. Well, snakes, they can thin themselves pretty well, and I've had to take out quite a few garter and black racer snakes from the house. Actually killed those, unfortunately. I hate killing snakes that aren't poisonous, just due to the fact of they're good for the ecosystem. But if you don't, they find a way back in. Especially as it starts to cool down here, before it's cold enough for them to go find a spot to hibernate, but not cold enough for them to not be moving yet. So yeah, fun stuff. I wouldn't know anything about white trash type dealings.
Stitch this and tell me when they knew they were white trash.
I was in 7th-ish grade, so like 12-ish years old, and somebody at school gave me a hug. I don't remember if it was like a teacher or a friend, but whatever. And then after they got done hugging me, they were kind of looking at me, and I was like, what's your deal? And they were like, do you smoke cigarettes? And I was like, no, I would never, because I was like a really good 12-year-old, like I didn't do anything like.
See, this is the second person with the cigarette smell. That's one of the things that definitely is a thing. If you smoke cigarettes in very close proximity to the house, and you smoke a lot, like chain smoking is when it's really, really bad. Light smoking in the house is not going to be such a bad thing. But you chain smoke, yeah, your kids are going to smell like cigarettes, and they're going to be the stinky kids in class unless they learn that, cologne and perfume covers that stuff a little bit.
That. And they were like, well, that's super weird because your clothes and your hair smell exactly like cigarettes, like really strongly. And that's because my mom would sit in our house all day, like with all the doors and windows closed, just chain smoking menthols. Like, I went to school as a child reeking of cigarettes.
When they knew they were white trash.
I guess I knew we were white trash when I realized other people didn't have to pay to do their laundry in their own house. We had a coin washer and dryer that somehow my parents obtained from a laundromat, and it had a hole in it. So like you paid with quarters and then you stuck your arm in that hole and got those quarters out to do the next
load. Oh my God, that's redneck as hell. That is hilarious. No. Oh, you got to pay to do your own laundry inside your own home. Like, it's one thing taking it to a laundromat. I understand that. Like, I've done that before, but having that type of wash. Great God, how big of a laundry room did you have? Now that two and two are clicking together, those are industrial size. I'm starting to be jealous now. That's a pretty big sized laundry room that you had. That's not something that's going to fit in a small little space in a normal place. That's for sure. Unless you did it on your back porch, which I've seen that too.
The washer and the dryer. It looked like this.
I want people to stitch this and tell me when they knew they were white trash.
You're just country.
I want.
It's a hog trailer. It's a hog. You're just country. Does that mean that you're white trash? I'm waiting to see the video from somebody outside of the mobile home with the 4 mobile homes behind it on the gravel road. That's what I'm waiting to see. Like, that's white trash of the white trash of the white trash. Like, that's king white trash type stuff right there. Like, that's where the really interesting stuff happens. A lot of the stuff, these folks are just country.
This and tell me when they knew they were white trash.
I knew we were white trash when my Uncle Ronnie, on my mama's side, married my much younger cousin on my daddy's side named Veronica, who also went by Ronnie. And then they had a son named...
New spin on the 2 Ronnies there, I guess.
Little Ronnie. Yeah. So I had an aunt, uncle, and cousin Ronnie, and they were all the same family.
Well, that's... I got friends, and I know the people, too, that, and actually, I don't know the people. I've got friends that are related to my wife's best friend. Like, and I found this out, like, 20 years after meeting my friends, and them telling me all about it, and then meeting my wife's friend. Oh, yeah, that's my aunt and uncle. They lived over here. They're dead and gone now. Uncle Dick and Aunt Cooter. So, 3 Ronnies. That's went a little bit overboard with that.
And when I was little, we lived in one trailer in the trailer park, and then my daddy and my brother lived in a different trailer in the trailer park. And I used to have to walk up the hill to Daddy's house to go see him. They were not divorced. They were just in separate trailers. Wasn't big enough, I guess.
I want people to stitch this.
Was that a trailer, or was it a RV or camper or something like that? Because that's...
and tell me when they knew they were white trash.
When I was a kid on Christmas Eve, we did not leave Santa milk and cookies. We left him skull chewing tobacco and Pepsi.
I want.
Oh Lord, let them skull and a Pepsi. Somebody that was your daddy's Christmas present. What that was? That's hilarious. I'm sorry. I don't care who you are. That's funny right there. Skull chewing tobacco or dip. Like, I've got Grizzly. Skull chewing tobacco and Pepsi for Santa instead of milk and cookies. Lord have mercy. I'd love to take and hear some of the crazy stories around your house. That's all I'm going to say, because that is not normal. I promise you didn't have... I'm willing to bet you didn't have a chimney for Santa to come down. You had a screen porch and a bug's out for him to go through.
Stitch this and tell me when they knew they were white trash.
When my mother said, well, you may have Mexican in you, but I've had Mexican in me. When I realized not everybody has a vehicle pass.
Well, it sounds like Mama was trolling you. Oh Lord. Oh Lord. Somebody mama ain't got no filter. Somebody mama like like being funny is what that sounds like. Oh Lord. Yo, that's hilarious.
In you, but I've had Mexican in me. When I realized not everybody has a vehicle passed down generation after generation after generation until it's 6 generations passed down. When I moved to New York and figured out that the N-word was a bad word because everybody in my hometown, including my parents, said it regularly. When I learned not everybody's dad keeps discarded parts of certain vehicles in their yard for years on end with no purpose. And finally, when I found out it was not normal to use the Bible as an excuse to beat your wife and children. That might be a little heavy, and I'm sorry, but it's the truth.
I want people to stitch this and tell me there when.
My Lord, she come from an interesting family. It sounded like Mama had a sense of humor, but
when they knew they were white trash.
I grew up in Florida in the 80s. And I'd always kind of suspected I was white trash. Just, because we lived in trailers, by the train tracks, in the country. But it wasn't fully confirmed until we went and picked up a trailer to connect to our trailer that we already had.
You double your square footage that way, homie.
We went and picked this trailer up with a Jeep pickup. Y'all know the one I'm talking about. That little mighty might sumbitch. We had to put center blocks on the hood and the front bumper in order to get said trailer home. Because it kept
wanting to raise up,
wanting to do wheelies every time we tried to take off. And then when we got the trailer to our current trailer,
oh hell,
we just pulled that sumbitch right in front of the other one. And then my stepdad had the brilliant idea to put planks going from the front door to the back door and the back door to the front door between the two fucking trailers. And we lived in them sons of bitches. That's when I knew. That's when I knew.
Have you?
So, my uncle in Georgia, he had a single wide that he had already bought, paid for, redone the inside of a little bit. He bought another single wide trailer, and he pulled it directly right next to, butted up against the one he already lived in. Of course, he took and stripped all the siding off and actually, got it prepared and did the same thing with the other one. And he actually wound up taking and joining the two and creating a larger house, knocked down walls and everything, created a larger, his own double wide basically. It was really nicely done on the inside. Like, it was 2 to 9s. He had it done beautifully. But he made his own double wide, which sounded like what his stepdaddy tried doing. I hope y'all enjoyed this. Oh Lord, some of these folks, some of them definitely like, oh yeah, that's a white trash story. A lot of these though, they're just country folk. They're just poor country folk. That's all it is. That being said, y'all be good to each other. Love yourselves. Peace.